I was quite curious about your overseas operations, and you have a major capex plan for both brownfield and greenfield expansion in India. So, are there any expansion
Yeah.
plans in some of the other geographies also where you're present?
Our investment in the Cayman Islands is in an expansion that is being added to our main campus over there. It is closer to the city, and this is a cancer hospital. We are estimated to spend about $100 million on building an onco-focused daycare surgery center. Outside of that, we are adding much smaller investments in clinics, diagnostic centers, things to bring our services closer to the people in the Caribbean.
So, if I'm not wrong, you are catering to the local population mostly. But is there any plan to expand the scale there, as you just touched upon, so that you can, tap the entire Caribbean? Because 70 or 80,000 people is a very small population to cater to.
It is small, but they all need something. And so far, it wasn't provided for them. Most of them had to fly out of the country, go to the US or other places to get care. So while being small, we're also very controlled in the number of services that we're offering. And you can't offer the full range, but at least 90% of what most people need, we are providing. So for us, it's not just doing surgeries. We also want to get into primary care, secondary care, daycare work, as well as few things that are very advanced, like robotic surgery and oncology. Those are things we will offer. But yeah, at some point, you will max out. There won't be any more patients. And in that case, we will look at other Caribbean islands and replicating the same.
Now you also have plans for the North Americas, right? So maybe Canada or other geographies. So could you elaborate on that as well in terms of your North America plan?
It's not that we have a plan now. We're just thinking many years ahead into the future. Because like I said, all the Caribbean islands put together, they're all very, very small. They won't even equal the population of one Indian city. And it's only a matter of time before you run out of opportunities to expand over there. But since we're close to the world's largest market for healthcare, at some point in the future, we may look at expanding there. So we are talking to people, we're seeing what role we can play, but it's still very early. We have some ideas, things that can work out, but it could be that whatever we ultimately end up doing there will be very different from what we started out with in concept.
Now, coming back to your India plans, there is, I think, almost 1,000 crore investment plan for greenfield and brownfield in Kolkata, Bangalore, Raipur. Now, which will be your focus cities in India? How many beds would you be adding in the next 2 to 3 years? And what is the plan to expand your footprint within the country?
Our focus areas are Bangalore and Calcutta because those are our oldest cities, those are our oldest hospitals, and that's where we are struggling to be able to admit as many patients as are coming today. Even today, the OTs are running full, the ICUs are full, and we're delaying surgeries for a lot of patients and keeping them there until we're able to process. So we desperately need capacity in both cities. So that's the highest priority. Outside of that, we're looking at brownfield investments in our existing hospitals in Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Delhi, Raipur, where we'll be adding one floor, 20 beds, 50 beds, oncology, certain OPD blocks, like that. So the 1,000 crores is mostly a large investment in additional campuses to the existing ones in Bangalore, in Calcutta, because we lack space. So we have to go to a different location, buy the land, and put up a large building there. Now, these are long dated projects. These will take 2, 3 years for construction to come, by which time the situation will also change in that more and more people need healthcare and we'll have to invest even more.
Medical tourism, which was, I think, 10% of the revenues of listed corporate hospitals, it had literally vanished during COVID. But is it showing signs of coming back? And what is the forecast for this current fiscal year?
Still hasn't recovered because the flight schedules are not as frequent as they used to be. Connectivity is very hard. There are a lot of difficulties for a lot of people to fill out Air Suvidha forms, get the RT-PCR done, get the visa, and so on. So it's become extremely challenging. I don't expect the medical tourism volumes to pick up to prior levels anytime soon. If they do, it will only be because all travel restrictions are removed. But if the current systems still continue as they are, it's very difficult to expect very old, very sick people to travel across countries with, as it is, the hassle of managing their medical issues and they also have to manage these new laws that have been put in place. But for us, it doesn't matter so much because our volumes have bounced back to pre-COVID levels and higher.
Where do you see Narayana this year of your revenue growth margins, as well as the revenue per occupied bed or length of stay, and also in the next 5 years? So one is an immediate term. How do you see the Narayana chain behaving, growth, and in the next 5 years?
Without getting any forecasting, I would say that there is a level of growth that we've been able to sustain pre-COVID. We believe we can sustain that both on the revenue growth as well as the ARPOB growth. Because like I said, we've made a tremendous number of investments in capacity, in improving our throughput, in doing very high-end surgeries like robotics and onco surgery and so on. So that should sustain. So over the next year, we'll maintain the average levels of growth that we're seeing pre-COVID. Post that, for the next 5 years, we're making a tremendous number of investments in our digital, in the infrastructure, in adding additional capacity in Bangalore and Calcutta. So that is over and above the organic growth rate. So that should kick in 3 years from now, because at least for the next 2.5 years, there'll be construction and a lot of disruption in the facility. So it won't really kick in. But post that, we should be showing above normal growth rates, both on realization and revenue. So years 3 to 5, that will play a major role. And in the mix of patients, we are in parallel pursuing a lot of retail care. And those things will lead to a lot more footfalls and a lot more queries for high-end procedures.
It was lovely talking to you. And thank you for taking out time to talk to us. We look forward to have more interactions in the future.
Thanks.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
क्या हाल?
मत पूछ यार,
फिर से स्टॉक्स में फंस गया। तो स्टॉक्स के साथ बॉन्ड्स, इंश्योरेंस, गोल्ड में बैलेंस कर।
इसमें बहुत तामझाम है।
तुझे 5 पैसा नहीं पता?
अब तो सबको पता है। 5 पैसा है ऑल इन वन अकाउंट। डाउनलोड 5 पैसा नाउ।
अब तो सबको पता है। Investing made easy and rewarding with 5 Paisa. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.